Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. All right, once again, back in the can with another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. I am the fucking pilot, and man, I'll tell you what, thank God for the magic of the internet, because on the other line, I got another cool cat to sit down and talk some shit. So tell me, who the fuck are you? What do you do?
I'm Rory Corrigan. I tried to do too much, apparently. I've held many hats in the skydiving world. I've been a Tandem Instructor, AFF Instructor. I've helped with evaluation jumps for an examiner friend of mine, DJ Marvin, who you've previously talked to.
Yep.
Master parachute rigger, and also a trainer with iFly.
Yeah, you're a pretty fucking busy guy, man.
Yeah, sleeps for the week, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, but, well, one great thing, especially in this sport, is with all those titles, you're never going to be unemployed.
That's kind of how I took it. Thankfully, the whole rigging thing kept me employed when I had a broken spine. So, yeah, I represent that remark.
Oh, I'm going to want to hear about that. You just definitely brought up a topic we're going to need to touch on. We'll start. I'll tell you what. We'll start like we do with all of them. How did you get started in this sport? Were there other extreme sports before skydiving? And how did you lead your way into the air?
No, fairly boring and pedestrian. My intro was my friend John Barry. He was getting a bunch of people from his job together. He asked me if I wanted to come along with. We had, big bunch of people who were going to get a group discount. I was like, yeah, sure. That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Sure.
So I got to be the first out of the plane out of our group of 14. I went with the German Range Luda. And, and people ask, oh, were you scared for something? I'm like, I had a German man with 16,000 skydives. What? He's going to make it through one more. I'll be good.
Yeah, chances are. Well, so if you did your first tandem with Mr. Range Luda as a German, that means that you jumped in Cross Keys.
I jumped at Cross Keys in its last heyday before shit went completely haywire.
Man, oh man, did it go haywire, and man, did it have a heyday, didn't it?
Oh, it's ruined every other drop zone nearly that I've ever been at, because as a standard operating drop zone, with what that place did, was the most mash out boogie at any other drop zone. And that was every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Yeah. If you weren't there, people don't, you can tell the stories and people try and equate it to something that they did on their drop zone. And you just kind of shake your head and go, no, but no, it was Cross Keys. There was nothing like it.
Yeah. I'm insanely thankful that I had that as my intro to this world. People I've met, everything that from it, it's amazing, but holy shit.
Right. Well, now with Cross Keys being where you started, so a lot of the people that I've talked to, actually the majority of people that I've talked to have started at smaller drop zones and had a more mellow intro into it. But you walked into the sport I don't know how many years I'd been into it by the time I got to Cross Keys, but you walked into what was the craziest, most overloading skydiving environment out there. Especially because of the party nature of that drop zone. As a student, learning how out there, did you ever go, I don't fucking trust these people. I see them on the weekends.
No.
That says a lot about you, Rory.
Yeah, well, no one ever said I'm smart.
Right.
But my first day that we went to do our first tandem, I'm pretty sure they were doing 100 ways out that day.
That sounds right.
Yeah, so like my first jump, I got to see 100 people landing. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Wow. I suppose if you don't know that it's
the top zone, that's your normal.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you don't know that that's not normal, the 100 canopies in the air and that kind of insanity, I can get that part of it. But you were introduced to the nightlife and the tribe, so to speak, very, very quickly on. So I guess I would think that would be more of what would throw you than seeing 100 parachutes in the air.
Not really, because again, that's, well, Because that was the normal. That's what I saw from the get-go. It's cool. This is what skydivers do. Plus, also just from a couple of years of being like in the local Philadelphia rave scene and whatnot.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'd seen some wackiness anyway. So it was just a different bunch of people who were having fun and loving life.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I guess, yeah. If you had the background of the Philly rave scene and stuff, that may have made a little bit more sense. That you wouldn't really blink too much at it. But I guess Mom or Pop or Susie and John from around the block that stroll around and see the insanity that went on in the weekends at Cross Keys would go, "Oh, fuck you! I'm not going skydiving with these people."
Yeah, that might be wise.
You know, we were a little off the chain. So you did your first jump what year?
2003.
Okay, so you jumped the year before I started out at Cross Keys, and
Yep.
03 is when it was really starting to go crazy.
Yes.
So
Middle of 04 is when it kind of hit that tipping point, and and some shit happened.
yeah, and we'll touch base on that for sure. But yeah, 03 is when I knew it was really starting to pick up, and Cross Keys had the reputation, not really as a party drop zone, at least not on the West Coast where I was, but it had the reputation as being one of the busiest drop zones in the world, and it was. The numbers were insane.
Tandems on any given Saturday during the summer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, well, I mean, every instructor was doing between 20 and 25 jumps a day on the weekends. You know, if you didn't do 100 jumps a week, you were pissed off.
Yep.
You know, because it meant a light paycheck. So you go through your AFF there. Who'd you do your AFF with?
So my AFE jumps were primarily with Range. He took me through nearly all of my student jumps. He wasn't around for a couple of days, so I ended up getting to jump with Mark Cruzy.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you hit the standards out there. Now, so you did that first jump. I'm assuming that pretty much solidified it, or were you one of these ones that wasn't sure?
I landed. I was like, cool, that was all right.
Really?
Well, I guess I forgot the one thing. So before getting involved in skydiving, I was involved into the body modification community, tattoos, piercings,
right,
so on and so forth. So I had already performed a couple of body suspensions.
Yeah.
So the suspension people thought I was crazy for skydiving. The skydivers thought I was crazy for suspending.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. But yeah, so it's I guess that would be fairly extreme. So that it had a similar sense of freedom.
So
that also, like base jumping,
sure.
The first step off something that just when your feet leave the object on base jumping, when your feet leave the ground, when you're suspending, or when your feet leave the plane, there's just total freedom that nobody else will have any chance of understanding if they haven't done something like that.
Now, for those people listening that don't know what suspension is, please enlighten them.
Yep. So you originally, way back when, we were using, well, originally, when I was involved in that scene, using large, like, hooks that you would catch very large fish with, grind off the barbs, sterilize them, get them through an autoclave, and put a big old hook through your back, like about an 8/0 hook, and you hang off of your skin.
Wow. Okay. Now, fuck. That's still, even just thinking about that, still has a very real effect on me. So, what would possibly,
wow,
dude? I'm literally getting cold sweats imagining that. And I have a big fat piercing in my tongue and all that stuff, but that just, wow. I mean, why? So what was the original motivation for you wanting to go doing something like a suspension?
So for that, got the, way back when there was a website, BME, Body Modification Ezine, that I'd been looking at more and more once I originally got a tongue piercing with a friend. She got one. I paid for her birthday. While I was there, I got mine done. A couple months later, got my septum pierced, and then I've basically had about every part of my body that can be pierced. It has been pierced. So just from being involved in the scene, and you would see photos on BME of suspension, like, wow, that's weird. And then that's kind of cool, to the maybe one day. And then eventually on my 22nd birthday, my friends said, hey, this is what you're doing. So we drilled some eye bolts into the top of a door frame, and we put some hooks in my back from friends who had worked at a piercing shop. So they had access to everything that you need to make it, good, safe, hygienic, etc. They had really good cross-contamination, ethics, better than a lot of doctors and nurses I've seen. So we hooked me up and hung me. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And just kind of, just doing more here or there. There was a dominatrix who kind of liked the idea of what we were doing. So we had a local crew in Philly, and she would let us use her dungeon whenever, like on times when she wasn't there, we had like a meetup time and we'd just hang somebody and go on with our day.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, it's funny because I remember you and I met beginning of the season 2004. And my first impression of you was just a normal guy, tall, thin, happy-go-lucky, and you were dressed in such a way, I don't know if you had a jumpsuit on at the time or what, but you were dressed in such a way that I couldn't see any tattoos, no visible piercings or anything. I don't even know if I noticed that you had a tongue piercing. And then...
I actually, for a good long while.
What's that?
I had 5 concurrently for a good long while.
Yeah. Well, and I found out all this going into it a little further as I got to know you a little bit better to find out that you had huge tattoos and all the piercings and all this other stuff. And I got to admit, my first thought was, fuck, he seems so normal.
Yeah, I get that. I get that a lot.
Well, the funny thing was back then I think I had 2 tattoos, and I wasn't a big, fan of getting more of them. And of course now I've got half of my back covered and a sleeve and all this stuff. So clearly I came around, but I also remember, thinking back and thinking, I thought he was strange, and look at me, fucking, who the hell am I? I'm far from normal. So
apparently I'm a bad influence.
You're right. So, Cross Keys, you jumped full time there for how long?
I actually never jumped there full time. Well, I was a fun jumper until July of 2007, when I ended up getting my tandem rating. And then I was working mornings from 8 to 11 at Express doing restocks and cleanup. And then I was driving over to my job as a non-injury auto liability adjuster at a auto insurance company.
Of course you were.
Yep. And then when I was done work on Friday night, I would drive straight from there out to Cross Keys. I would sleep in my car, wake up in the morning, and start doing tandems.
Yep.
Which my first day of doing tandems, I did 3. That was on a Sunday. The following Saturday, I did 3. The next Sunday I did 10, and that Saturday I did 10, Sunday I did 11. So I went from having 3, 6, 16, 27 tandems, and off to the races with Cross Keys.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, man, that place for all its negatives and craziness, what a fucking machine that place was. It really was. Well, and again, you and I were there for pretty much the peak of it. You stayed longer than me because 2006, by then I was in California. But Cross Keys went through such strange times and such a number of really, really high times and very, very low times. I mean, there was almost like there was a bit of a blessing and a curse on that place.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, holy shit.
Right? And it just kept going. I mean, it seemed like every time I turned around after I had left, I was getting more bad news from Cross Keys, and it wasn't necessarily just jumpers, but it was all the people in the town that we'd become friends with, and just shitty stuff happening all over the place. Yeah. Of course, soaked in with these amazing times that we were having jumping. In fact, I think the last that I heard about and finally just kind of switched off because it was just getting too difficult was when PJ had his bad jump. Yeah,
that one sucked because PJ definitely had some good wise words for me, and just like I still remember stuff that he told me, and I pass that on to other people.
Sure, sure. He was again, he was one of the Cross Keys crew. He was an odd duck, but an odd duck in a very good way.
Oh yeah, he had a good ass heart. That guy.
Oh yeah, man. There was a lot of people with really big hearts back then. A bunch of fucking nutcases, but we had big hearts. Speaking of,
Yes.
you and I can't have this podcast without talking about Mr. Rob Stanley.
Legend.
Man, oh fucking man! You know, I'll tell you what. Anybody that knew Rob is already laughing for something that they remember. And if anybody listening didn't know Rob Stanley, man, you fucking people missed out. This guy, holy shit, man. For anybody that doesn't know, Rob Stanley recently passed away on a skydive in China. And he was as legendary as they come. And no matter how hard I try and look back and be upset at the fact that he's not here, every time I start thinking about him, I start fucking laughing. 'Cause you can't not, man. He was the most unique individual I think I've ever met.
Well, you can hear in your head him start talking, and as soon as all 15 words he's about to use try to come out of his mouth all at once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you put the smile on your face.
He was the fucking road runner, man. He just was going 150 miles an hour at all times. It was, oh my God. And he would randomly pop up. I mean, it had been years that I hadn't seen or talked to him. And then you'd just get a random Facebook message, just some off the wall shit. And you'd laugh for a couple of minutes and then you wouldn't hear from him for another year. That guy was fantastic. He was the only guy I knew, and you've seen this just as many times as I have, that on a busy Saturday in Cross Keys, where all the staff are doing 22, 23 tandems a day, he'd have one load where he was down. Anybody else is taking a shit. They're going to the restaurant to get a sandwich or drinking a Coke. He is running in to grab his sport rig so that he can go free fly on the only load the entire day he's got off.
Yep.
What a maniac. And,
yep.
And to his dying day was just as enthusiastic about jumping as he was from the start.
Yep.
Have you? What's your favorite Stanley memory?
Family, that's what they did.
Yeah. What's your favorite Stanley memory?
Oof.
Too many, right?
Yeah. I mean, the one that kind of sticks with me, just on the personal level, I was out in Philly at like a tiny club for a drum and bass DJ night, and he just saunters up and starts talking to me. And anyone who's ever talked to him knows it's already was sometimes a bit of a struggle to get what he was saying. Yeah. Then pump out 140 decibels of pumping drum and bass music, and your whole rib cage is, shaking from bass, and he's screaming in your ear. Then try to understand him. But the fact that I had a handful of jumps, like I wasn't even A licensed yet, and he came over to talk to me because he recognized me from the drop zone.
Yep.
And just like that kind of feeling of family that. I'm happy I was imbued with that early in the sport.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've worked at a lot of drop zones now, and obviously met tons of people, but I don't think I've ever and ever will again work at a drop zone that was more of a tribe, a family than Cross Keys was back then. I mean, we were 7 days a week, fucking 20 hours a day together for 9 months at a pop. And then of course, then everybody would go party in Philly or party at the drop zone and all that stuff. Well, I mean, the day we set the world's record with the Red Bull guys for the most tandems, I'm sure you were there that day, weren't you?
I might have been working that day, I think.
Oh my God, did you miss it? Whew.
I heard this. A lot of them from you, buddy.
Yeah, there were a few crazy stories there for sure.
Yeah, you and Jacko in particular.
Yeah, that was a good day. It was definitely an interesting day for the two of us, for the whole crew, no doubt about that. So you did Cross Keys all the way up through 2007. So again, you saw a bit more than me for sure. But Where did you transition to from there? I mean, you went from kind of doing the part-time thing to skydiving and flying being your whole life.
Yep, that's all thanks to you.
Oh, no.
Well, so I'm sitting at work and a random phone number calls my cell phone. So in October, we had they took everyone from my office into a country club and gave us lunch, put on a DVD and said, hey, we're changing how we're doing the offices, and we're consolidating the Northeast into an entire region instead of just Pennsylvania, New York, etc.
Right.
And we'll be shuttering some offices. We'll tell you which ones in January. So in October, I'm sitting in an office space outside of Philadelphia in reasonably expensively priced suburb office block. So we're like, okay, well, they can move everyone from this office into the Harrisburg office with room to spare. Who are they going to close first?
Right.
So I'm sitting there in like November and I get a call out of the blue. I walk into the stairwell and, hi, this is Neil from Skydance Skydiving. When are you going to come work for us? Just kind of like, how is this my life?
Right.
But I didn't know if I had a job come January. The original plan was to work my ass off between doing tandems over cross keys and eventually get my AFF rating, work my other two jobs and just put some money in the bank so that I'd actually have a buffer if I was going to skydive for a living.
Right.
But my hand kind of got forced a little bit early on this, and I was like, well, shit, here we go. So I decided middle of April to head out there because hoping the season would be starting up a little bit more, and I wanted to spend one last birthday at home with friends.
Sure.
Took off, took about 2 weeks to drive across the country with whatever fit in the trunk, the rear footwells, and across the back seat in a Toyota Corolla.
Right.
And just moved to Sacramento just because.
It's a hell of a haul.
Yep. So ended up waking up in your pop-up trailer the next morning, and the whole thing was rocking and rolling. Walked into Manifest, and the winds were blowing 51 miles an hour.
Yep.
As I sit on a bench with about $4,000 in the bank and thinking to myself, I've made the worst decision of my fucking life. I left, I was living at home, so I had no rent and I was just making money and I could afford to skydive because I had no bills.
Sure.
I paid off, I had no car note. I had zero debt. And now I'm going to an intentionally smaller drop zone that wasn't as busy with the hopes of learning how to be a better instructor.
Right.
But I'm sitting there going, oh, it does this for 3 days at a time, you say? Well, fuck me.
Yep. Skydance was a little bit more of the real world drop zone. Cross Keys was its own little, yeah.
Yeah. So that my first AFF jump that live AFF jump I went on. I was I think reserve siding it, or it might have been main siding it, and misread the guy's count, fell off the plane, and Milan luckily stayed with him the whole time.
Yep.
What have I done with myself? I know I've made poor decisions before, but this is impressively bad.
No, Skydance was great. Skydance brought you out to hang out with one of the most popular podcast guests I've had yet, Mr. Jim Matthews.
Oh, good God.
Dude, he told the Beacon story when he rode the Beacon at Skydance, naked, burning his scrotum on the light. And I got so many comments and so many people asking me if that shit was really true because of the way he tells that damn story. Oh my God, people loved it. Yeah,
he's definitely a master at telling a story and just having the biggest, most welcoming grin ever.
Yep, that's Mr. Matthews. There is no doubt about that. He is a friend to everyone.
Yep.
So
for as many people stayed in his trailer there, yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, he was kind of the house mom to a lot of people for sure.
Yep.
So, how did you get into the rigging side of things?
So I had started base jumping thanks to a Misters Matthew and Will Lajeunesse,
Mm,
and so I'd been base jumping. Matt and I were staying current off a little 300-foot antenna in Pennsylvania. When I got to California, I met up with some base jumpers and stopped jumping with some of them due to their poor decisions, we'll say.
sure.
But as a full-time skydiving instructor, it was the realization of, okay, I need to take care of my own base gear because no one else will for me.
Right.
But if I'm doing this for a living, I should really know how this gear works as
Right.
well. Plus, if you're going to teach a student, if they have a question, you're like, well, I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't instill as much confidence in the student. Whereas if you can, I'll go too far down the wormhole the other way of potentially over-explaining,
Sure.
but wait for the glaze to happen and then stop there. But the DZO there, Ray Farrell, he was a rigging examiner. And I was like, well, I should know how this gear works. My DZO is a rigging examiner. So if this is my first full-time year, if I've got 2 rigs that I'm jumping, if I have no cutaways, I'm spending $300 a year in rigging.
Sure.
So it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get this, because at about $1,000 or whatever it cost me then, in 3 years, it'll pay itself off if I just take care of my own gear.
Sure.
So just strictly on the invest in myself financial future kind of idea.
So now you got into it that way, but obviously you're all the way up to master rigger now, and that takes some dedication. I mean, this is not just I'm going to pack reserves for me and my friends and know the basics. This is I'm going to know how to pack. I'm going to know how to repair. I'm going to be able to build shit. That takes a real desire. I mean, you don't just do that, just to be able to maintain your gear. So what drew you into, wanting to go that deep into it?
So when I got to Spaceland, I ended up luckily getting a spot in their rigging loft, and I went from having like 68 repacks when I was there to, I haven't tallied them, but somewhere in the range of 3,000 or more now.
Sure.
So it's I wanted to know more about how the system worked.
Sure.
So I got the rigger's ticket. Then it kind of became okay, well, how does this system go together? So ended up contacting, a few things. It always kind of been in the back of my head, like, this could be a good investment in me down the road. Rigging has definitely been far and away the best money I've ever spent on myself, with just return on investment that is unimaginable.
Sure.
For what my 2 college degrees cost versus this. Hands down, way better investment for me.
If you'd only known, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I could have just been a scummy kid packing main parachutes and then got a rigger's ticket and saved all that time and effort. But
right.
Here we are. Not to say all packers are scummy. Love my packers. But,
well, I mean, come on. You spend all day rolling around on the ground and dirty nylon and sweating all over the place. You're going to get a little scummy, but they're also some of the best paid employees on the drop zone, so they can afford to be scummy if they want.
Well, if they can hold all the dollar bills with their clawed hands at the end of a good day.
Oh, yeah. No, hey, believe me, I'll tell you what, there's 2 jobs on the drop zone that I would never want. One I could never do, and that's manifest. And the other one I would never want, and that's packing, because it's too fucking hard.
Yep.
Hats off to anybody that can do manifest or packing for a living. Oh, holy fuck, man. I'm impressed.
Tip your packer, everybody.
Damn right. Damn right. So, so you out in Spaceland now, you decide, fuck it, I'm gonna dive in deep and I'm gonna go all the way for the rigging ticket. You did that more just because you figured down the road it was gonna pay off?
Well, a few things. One, when I got there, the master rigger, Dennis Anderson, he had mentored me, got me a lot of really good info, tips, tricks. Just guy was old as dirt and still kept jumping like a crazy person.
Sure.
But he taught me a lot of good stuff. But then he passed away. He was struck on his motorcycle on his way to work one day. Uh, so we were left without a master rigger, and I was like, this kind of makes certain things a little bit harder.
Sure.
And then, so that was in August of 2010 was when he was struck. Then in July of 2011, I broke my spine swooping.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, I was waiting for this one to come up. So let's get into that just a little bit. How?
Yep. Got to work a little bit late, and people were going like, "Hey, we're getting morning swoop load together." I'm like, I just kind of want to get to work and just I've got some rigs I need to work on. I want to just hop to that and get going.
Sure.
Like, oh, come on, just it's one jump. I'm like, all right, fine. So go get ready. Jumping velocity 84. I had been jumping it with some weight. I put on 10 pounds of weight. I'm 160 pounds. Ended up, the upper winds weren't quite as strong as I thought, so I wasn't getting as much on my downwind as I was hoping.
Right.
So got to my initiation point a little bit low. Normally I would start my 270 about 720 feet. I started about 700 feet. With the additional weight, probably should have been 750.
Sure.
So I didn't change the mechanics of my turn. Wing was level to the ground, but I was still had a bit of sink. Went to drag, toe in the water, leg kind of started to plunge, recovered to toggles to about my shoulders or so, popped myself up about 15 feet, made it to the shoreline, just kind of giggling, laughing. As I was slowly finishing a flare, due to the slower airspeed I was at, as well as the additional weight I was carrying, stall point went from like 2 inches below my hip bone to right at my hip bone, which I got to at about like 5-6 feet off the ground. Canopy started to drop behind me and landed tailbone first on the sand pit at the edge of the swoop course, but it had been raining recently, so that sand was just like concrete.
Oof. Wow. So,
yep.
So basically it was a case of celebrating a little too early when you dug your way out of the pond.
Yep. Yeah, I should have just gotten drenched.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think actually you may have been out at Skydance when I broke my tailbone, and did it in front of Perry. I hadn't been jumping very much, and I signed Zach off to fly the 182 for jumpers. And when I signed him off, I jumped out, did a swoop, hadn't been on my sport canopy in probably 4 or 5 months, hooked it like I'd been on it the load before, stayed on the rears too long, stalled it out, and slammed my ass into the ground, broke my tailbone.
Hooray!
Yeah, oops. Yay for broken bones and stupid decisions, right?
Yep. So then, of course, I didn't have health insurance. The hospital where they took me didn't tell me the actual extent of my injury. They said I had a compression fracture on T9, T11, don't bend or twist for 6 weeks, see somebody in 2-3 weeks for a checkup.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So there was a local jumper I'm friends with who has private emergency care. So I was like, hey, can I come in, get this looked at? And he would do a lot of like scans and stuff for free because he just didn't care.
Sure.
So he had gotten the films for my x-ray, and he was like, you're probably an inch shorter right now.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So we looked at the x-rays, and then we looked at the radiologist report, said there was a 70% or greater compression of the T9.
Wow.
Right. So whereas the ER had shot me full of Toradol and had me walk out of the hospital.
Of course they did.
Yep. Which honestly, in retrospect, I'm glad they didn't touch me.
Well,
if they're that bad, then I'm glad they didn't touch me.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
so
I had when I busted my tailbone, I had a similar experience, only in the stupidity of the doctor, and this will make you laugh because I walked in, did the whole thing, told the front counter. They did the x-ray. The doctor finally comes in, sees the x-ray of the broken tailbone, asks me what I did. I said I had a hard landing skydiving, and I shit you not, her question was, did your parachute not open? Yeah. So I turned to the nurse and went, this is my fucking doctor? And that was it. I was out of that hospital like in 5 minutes. I'm like, no. Did my parachute open? Fuck. Well, so they did this. Now, obviously, it's serious. So what happens next?
So one of my roommates was an ER nurse at one of the busiest trauma ward in Houston, to where they'll have military doctors come in and learn about
gunshot
wounds there. Yeah, exactly. So, exactly. So I sent him with a CD of the CT scan to his head of neurosurgery, and guy said, well, if he doesn't have surgery now, there's an 80% chance he'll need it at some point down the road. I had a trip home to Philly planned, so I flew home to Philly, was on the edge of a mosh pit for a little while with just a shitty little back brace on. I was like, I should probably move back a little bit. So got to the back of the venue, got back about 2 days after, had my girlfriend drive with me up to Memorial Hermann. One of my former AFF students was in med school doing her surgery rotations. Wow. And she had talked to some of the neurosurgeons there and had shown them some stills from the CT. So I'm laying there in bed at the ER, and resident comes in and is like, can you see the monitor from where you're at? And I'm like, yeah, if I need to, I'll sit up. I was like, no. Can you see the monitor from there? I'm like, yeah, but and he's like, you're not getting up until this is fixed.
Wow.
And I had been walking for a month like that. Yep. So
I wish I could pretend to be shocked, but I'm not.
Yeah, no. Yay, American medical system.
Yeah.
But so about a week later, so surgery was scheduled for the following Monday. This was like Wednesday when I went in. That Friday, Doc is doing her last rounds, which oddly enough, she had actually fixed a friend of mine who had plowed into the ground, breaking a downplane really low to the ground. So,
wow.
Yeah, she already knew how to fix skydivers. But she's like, so we're going to put a cage in where the vertebrae body is, and we'll put a plate on the side. And they're color titanium. They come in all kinds of cool colors, like red, blue, purple. I was like, do you happen to have green? So after surgery, Doc and the resident come to visit me. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, rolled in, and the resident pulls out his phone, calls up a picture. It's a plastic bucket. It has one of the screws that held the plate in, my plate, the spacer cage, and the rib that they cut out of me and ground up and used as packing material. And sure enough, the cage and the plate that they put in me are green, so it matches my gear.
Of course. Well, it would have to.
Like, I win for all matching gear because everything matches, and I hope no one ever finds out that they match, because then I fucked up real bad.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, hey, it's all about priorities, right? I mean, fucking matching gear nowadays, that's important shit.
That's why I'm a world record holder, I say.
It's a hell of a world record to have. Oh.
No, they had a world record, that one.
Right. So, You end up with a broken back. Obviously, now you're healing from the broken back, and is this when the whole master rigger thing kicks in?
It, not knowing if I would ever be able to skydive again, and knowing that I need to pay bills until I figure out what was next, really kind of pushed it to the forefront as an option.
Sure.
Need for the drop zone, need for myself. So kind of ramped up my efforts, got a seat pack, and just started slamming out pack jobs on that. Went visited Simon Wade, finished my course in 4 days instead of 5 days because I came well prepared.
Sure. You did that in in Mesquite then, I would imagine.
Boulder City.
Oh, he was still in Boulder City then. Okay. Because he's got his rigging loft in Mesquite now. Oddly enough, talk about a connection of a small world. Simon Wade is who I got my tandem rating from.
Yep. And I know you've shared some interesting stories with that fellow as well.
Oh my God, man! I'll tell you, we won't even go into them because I'm going to try and eventually get his ass on the show if it's ever possible. But one of the most poignant moments of my entire skydiving career was jumping for Michael Hawks in Skydive Las Vegas, who was notorious for putting his staff out in winds that were just obscenely high, like stupid high. Way too much to jump. And if it was over 30 miles an hour, he would just radio up to the plane that winds for jump run were a strong 30. So you knew you were fucked. And I think it was, yeah,
40.
yeah, oh yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. And on this particular day, I think we'd already done one or two jumps, and they were terrifying jumps. And I ended up on a load with Simon, and he used to jump in this just a painter's coveralls. That he would go jump in, and he'd have his gloves on, and we're on jump run, and we get the strong 30 call, and neither of us want to do this jump. And in the most sincere way, he takes off his glove, sticks out his hand, shakes my hand, and says, "Dean, it's been really nice working with you." Puts his fucking gloves back on, and then out we go. Both of us.
I can see him doing that.
Oh, yeah, in the most sincere way. And it was funny because I ended up having to get my tandem rating kicking and screaming. I didn't want it. And he was the one that gave it to me. And in fact, I had to do the drogless tandem with the vectors with him. And I must have been so amped up out of my mind I couldn't see straight because the parachute finally opens, and I must have just been heaving and breathing. And because he's behind me laughing, or he's in front of me laughing, going, "I wish I could bottle up a little bit of what you got and sell it on the black market." Yeah, it's fucking Simon, man. I tell you what. And a hell of a rigger. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Guy could build anything. So
he's trying to.
So he gave you your master rigger's ticket.
Yep, sure did. I'd heard good stuff. I loved Ray, but I kind of wanted to have a different perspective, a different, maybe just learn some different hints, tips, or tricks.
Sure.
Just you're going to pick up something for everybody. If I go to a new drop zone, I try to stop by the rigging loft just to see if they're doing something different that's better, or just will be something that you need another day.
Yeah. Well, or there's always a different way to look at things. So it's a very wise man that will look around and take what he can get from other people, for sure. So fuck yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, so how did you end up? You ended up getting the master's rigger's ticket and doing that in Spaceland. You're still out there though, aren't you?
I'm in Houston. I'm no longer working at Spaceland. I left on really good terms with them. So luckily, whenever I want to do some other work jumps, it's an available option to me.
Nice.
I mean, the people out there, they work real hard. They're trying to make a living at it. I have a job, so I'm trying to not take the food out their mouths.
Sure.
But I really enjoy instructing. I still enjoy tandems. I love just introducing people to this world. It's just you will be that person's memory forever. They might not remember your name, but they'll remember you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny too, and I've said it many times on this podcast, if I look back at all of the jumps that I've done now, my favorite way to skydive is tandems, which is funny because I fucking hated them when I started out. It was just the worst experience. And so for it to flip 180 degrees, clearly it wasn't the physical jumping, it was the people and the environment and all the stuff you get to do because of it, which is super cool. Now, how'd you get started with the wind tunnel?
I had applied at more than a few different wind tunnels over the years. While I was at Skydance, I had applied for Montreal, but my French wasn't quite up to snuff. I had applied for Singapore, but they were only hiring nationals. Just pretty much every tunnel that opened, I ended up applying at, just because I knew how it can accelerate your free fall learning.
Sure.
And plus also just the stability of, as long as they have power, it'll run, versus you can be at a drop zone and you can have rain for 40 days.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of always something, plus also to help abate some of the money I was spending on going to wind tunnels to fly. If I just worked at one, that would save me a couple grand.
Sure.
So like when I Fly Austin location had opened, within the first 9 days they were open, I was there 3 times to fly like 15, 20 minutes a day.
Oh, wow.
Just because it was there, and it was only a 3-hour drive each way instead of having to fly 3 hours to Denver, say.
Right.
So just getting to know a couple of the instructors, even like if I had an STP student, Spaceland, they do Skydiver Training Program, STP, as opposed to AFF. It's a little more comprehensive program. You get people just learning more stuff before they leave your hands.
Sure.
But I would take students out there sometimes, like a couple times, just to clean up some stuff. And as we're leaving, I'm like, hey, go hit the instructor with a 20 for me. Like, they let me do that. They didn't have to. So go hit them with a couple bucks.
Sure.
So just made good with the locals, so that when I heard there was a Houston location opening and I applied for that, especially at that point before there was the huge explosion in the US and even, in Europe for the huge explosion of tunnels, nepotism is definitely the way.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of needed to have an in. You couldn't just be Joe Bob skydiver or Joe Bob off the street and get a job. Like it's a lot easier now because there's just more locations.
Sure.
But making good with the instructors there, and then I'm sure if they like, hey, is this guy an asshole? And they're like, not too much. So I was one of the first 3 people hired specifically to work at iFly Houston when it would open.
Nice.
I'm the only one of those 3 that is still working there. So
a little longevity, huh?
Yep. Well, I just I get comfortable because if I've got a good thing, and it's hard to find a good thing to be comfortable in skydiving,
Sure.
then just kind of let it ride.
Well, yeah, I mean, the it's kind of funny. The gypsy lifestyle is very attractive for a little while. The first season that I did Cross Keys, I think I managed to actually live in my pop-up trailer for almost a month before I finally broke into John's big gray trailer and started squatting in there. And then the next season, of course, Jackson and I rented that house right over by Rob Stanley's place. That they ended up, they nicknamed it Squeaky Springs. I think that was more for Jackson than me. But yeah, the gypsy lifestyle starts to fade pretty quickly, and you start to get a little bit of stability and go, oh, this is what it's like to know I'm going to be able to eat next week.
Yep. Well, my first winter at Spaceland, between September when we had nationals and March, we had 11 full days of jumping.
Wow.
Yep. We had, you'd get off a couple of loads in a day, but like full, honest to goodness, like this was a good day of jumping. We had 11 full days.
Wow.
So every year when it got around to August, it's like, cool, time to tighten that belt because it's about to go to shit. And It didn't, but I always had that kind of mindset of ready, set, go. Like, here comes poverty.
Yeah.
So when I got a job at the tunnel, I started I just hit my 5-year anniversary here on the 11th, which is also the day that my friend Dennis had passed from his auto accident.
Wow.
It's also the day that I had taken my now ex-girlfriend on, I forget if it was the first or second tandem with her that I'd done, but I ended up doing 2 tandems with her over time. I'm like, you clearly like doing this. Stop doing tandems. Just get a license.
Sure.
And she finally did. But
nice.
there, that's another story for another day. But so yeah, the 11th is a really, really weird day for me. Lot of flux on that day, but
it's kind of funny how that seems to happen in skydiving in general, though, because I guess we're compressed into, depending on the drop zones that you're at, it's very seasonal in most places. So you've got these small windows, and then you've got these huge events that happen on very specific days every year, and something big always manages to happen, sometimes good, sometimes bad. I mean, for
like the 4th of July getting worse and worse for us, you mean?
Fuck me, man. Really? I mean, could it get any worse? You could actually help me try and figure this out. Craig Kuski passed away in 2004. Was it?
Yes.
It was on July 4th, yes?
I don't think
Because
so.
it was the PST Swoop Tour. They were doing the whole workups for Wildwood.
Okay, yeah, I remember it was like June or July, somewhere in there.
It was
Because
definitely July, but I don't know if it was July 4th. I know it was close.
I don't think it was that exact day, but I remember I was leaving work and I got a call from Jill Kuzman
Yeah,
in just tears, and I just stopped in my tracks.
yeah. That was a shitty day. That was not a good one. Well, and then of course, a lot of people listening will have heard the story a year later. On July 4th was Sarah and Ron, and that was a canopy collision on the drop zone. And then all these years later, Mr. Rob Stanley decides to join the July 4th club.
Yeah,
And
that club needs to stop.
fucking hell it does, man. I mean, the 4th of July has been bittersweet ever since 2004 for all of us, because Sarah was such an awesome chick. Everybody loves Sarah. I don't know anybody that ever had a negative thing to say about that girl. So the 4th of July always sucks anyway, but now to add Rob Stanley to that mix, I mean, I think that was my first thought was, are you fucking kidding me? It's the 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm just not going to jump on the 4th of July anymore,
Right?
because
Wrap myself in fucking bubble wrap and stay in bed.
apparently it's like Final Destination for cross keys.
Right. I know it, man. No, I'm good with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, so we've covered a whole lot of the jobs that you do. Is there anything next? Is there anything on the bucket list that's coming next for Mr. Corrigan?
Trying to see where I fit in the world. So I've been exploring the possibility of trying to build a rigging loft / home here in the Houston area.
Sure.
There's a local examiner who is looking to have a spot to teach classes.
Oh, wow.
And I was looking to try to partner up with him on that, but the financials aren't quite there. For somebody had given me an estimate that sounded reasonable that I could pull off, but the newer estimates I'm getting are not quite like I could do it, but I'd be scraping and scrounging, and again, that's not
Sure.
what I'm looking to be doing with my life right now.
Right.
So, trying to figure out, see if I can hermit crab into another thing. I've been looking at properties and whatnot to see if there's something that I can make work and grow. So, trying to figure that out. Went up recently to Oregon, helped out Kelly Farrington with some stuff at Velocity Sports,
Cool.
doing some repairs. Just did some test jumps for him for some stuff he's got coming up down the pipeline here.
Very cool.
So
Very cool. Well, it sounds to me like, I mean, all things considered, you've managed to end up with a pretty fucking well-rounded career in the sport. But did you ever think in 2003? I mean, did it ever cross your mind that this is the path you were going to end up taking?
No, and even the path once I kind of was like, I think I want to skydive for a living. I still didn't take the path that I was expecting. Like, I was kind of the original plan was kind of just start at the bottom. Well, not at the bottom, but start with packing, just get good at that. Because again, the quick, easy cash.
Sure.
Like move to Florida, do that, work my way up, and get some instructional ratings and go. Whereas I kind of got lucky that I was able to just bang out the jumps, get my tandem rating, and just run at it from there.
And go. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose I'm kind of the same. I wish I could say I had a master plan behind it all, but I kind of just Forrest Gumped my way through the whole thing.
You just fell into it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yep.
Very
Nope,
punny.
just like none of our tandem jokes.
Very funny, sir. Oh my God! Actually, I both miss and loathe those days every time I think about them. Day after day of the horrible jokes that we would tell. Oh my God! So much fun though.
Oh yeah. All 4 jokes that we would use in rotation all day.
Oh God, yes. Well, and then every once in a while you'd go rogue. You remember Dan Blakely from Skydance? We had the one horrible day where we decided we were going to just trade the most offensive gay jokes we could all day long, not taking into consideration that we were, right next to San Francisco, and of course ended up with a gay couple on the airplane that rightly so, were terribly offended. And I actually wrote an article about it because I said, I'm not sorry I told the joke. I'm just sorry I told it when I did. Because these poor guys didn't know that I won the film festival for running around Cross Keys in drag all day. I mean, they don't know that stuff. They just thought I was some homophobic piece of shit, and rightly so, because we were telling horrible jokes. So I suppose those days, I'm kind of glad those days are a little bit gone. But the corny, fucked up jokes, those days I miss. God, we definitely used to have some goofy ass times. Well, so I'm going to do the same thing I do with everybody else as I wrap up. Say you're talking to newer jumpers, people that are just getting ready to come up, or you're talking to jumpers that maybe have kind of lost a little bit of the spark in the sport and they're wondering if they should keep going. What advice do you have to give for anybody that fits those categories listening in today?
For the newer jumpers, as somebody who really enjoys the educational aspect of the sport, and that's where I spent most of my time, not so much on the fun jump side of things as much as I would like to, but I end up spending the time and then really like the time I spent with just you've got plenty of time. Like, actually listen to the old crusty people who actually have seen the horrible shit,
right,
and learn from them. As we know what you want to do, we're going to give you the best way, not the quickest way. Sorry, but
sorry, not sorry.
There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason. So, like, listen up. Maybe you'll get something out of it if you actually pay attention.
For sure. Well, I mean, too many people and too many other things don't learn from other people's examples, and this is one sport where you damn well better.
Yeah.
For sure.
I learned that real quick, again, at Cross Keys.
Yeah, man. I mean, starting out where you did, when you did, it was trial by fire for a low-time jumper in literally every aspect of the sport. From learning how in one of the most intense, busy chunks of airspace in skydiving at the time, to partying on one of the craziest drop zones, to dealing with, I think we had fatalities every year for, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know about 7, but horrible run. I mean, you learned in that environment. So, wow. That's a hell of a place to come up.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, my first full year in the sport was 2004, and that's when Kusky. And then the next year was Ron and Sarah, and the following year was PJ. So, yeah.
Yeah, rough run of things, man, for sure. Well, and then so many people connected to the sport that were Cross Keys regulars, or at least people that we'd become friends with. You remember when PD and Relative Workshop came out and did their tour, and that was Egon Sussman and Cola from Blue Skies, and Egon passed away in an aircraft crash, I think, the next year. So it was just this Cross Keys curse, man. It was bizarre.
Yep,
just bizarre. Yeah. Oh, Paul. Well, yeah. Paul hired me. Paul's the reason that I got the job in Cross Keys in the first place, and I never actually got to meet him. I only had conversations over the phone with him, so that's a whole nother story. But man,
Paul's the reason I wanted to be an instructor. So
see, there you go.
Like, I got to do with him, and that stuck with me, which kind of can go back then to your experience, lost the spark.
Yeah, please.
The two things I would say is either try something new. There's so many different aspects in the dome of skydiving that try a different one.
Yep.
Like, work on your canopy skills, go do a crew jump, learn to free fly. I actually had a jumper who hasn't jumped in years. She's been flying with me in the tunnel, and she just started jumping again because she wants to free fly in the sky.
Awesome.
And just try something new. If you don't like it, well, then shit. At least you tried.
Yeah, for sure.
But also just give back. Like, say hi to somebody. Like, a couple of jumpers have come up to me, and like, I was a new jumper here at Spaceland, and you introduce yourself. I'm a nobody, and you're an instructor, and you're just like, "Hi, I'm Rory," and just said hi. Just make the family bigger.
Yeah, man, for sure. Pay it forward. Pay it sideways, man. Help out fellow instructors that are looking for a slot in the place that you're at, or a pilot that's looking for a leg up, or anything like that. I think that's a huge piece of advice. Not to mention, it's super fulfilling when you've helped this student or that friend into a new level in their sport or their career or whatever, and you get to kind of lean back against the wall with a little bit of pride and go, well, all right, that happened partially because of me. That's a fucking great feeling.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people who I took through AFF that are world record holders.
How amazing
and
is that?
it's kind of cool to watch your little sky babies grow up.
Right? It's like the proud parent. You're just going, oh my God, look at what they're doing.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Rory Corrigan, rigger extraordinaire, tunnel flyer extraordinaire, tandem instructor and all that, it has been a pleasure catching up with you. It's been way too long.
Oh yeah, brother. Hopefully we'll run into each other somewhere on this planet eventually.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, man. It's way too small a planet and a dramatically smaller sport, so I guarantee our paths will cross again.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, Rory, take care of yourself, man. Blue skies, and thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you, Dino.
All right, another edition of Lunatic Fringe in the can, thanks to Mr. Rory Corrigan, rigger extraordinaire, tunnel flyer, and guy that stays way too fucking busy. As always, Lunatic Fringe Into the Void is brought to you by the greatest magazine in the known universe, Blue Skies Magazine. You're going to want to head to blueskiesmag.com, subscribe to that magazine if you haven't already, take a bunch of fucking pictures and send it to them because they love awesome pictures. Make them awesome. If you got something to write, put that pen to paper, write an article, get it into them. If you got a cool story, make sure it's heard. If I can write for these guys, so can you. Also, if you got something to advertise, Blue Skies Magazine is exactly where you want to do it. All the contact info is going to be at blueskiesmag.com. Lunatic Fringe is also brought to you in association with Craft Imaging. Craft Imaging has got some really cool stuff you're going to want to check out on their website, craftimaging.eu. Craftimaging.eu. They can do the most awesome, like sandblasting onto glass, onto wine glasses, onto carafes, onto plaques with photographs, all kinds of cool shit. Definitely go check them out. For me, I am the fucking pilot. You can find me at thefuckingpilot.net. At thefuckingpilot.net, you'll find links to both the books that I've written. That's the Blue Skies Mag's Fucking Pilot book, as well as The Accidental Stripper, both available on Amazon in print and digital form, so check them both out. I'm also on Facebook under The Fucking Pilot and Instagram under The Princess Pilot. Again, as always, it's been a pleasure having you for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. We'll catch you again soon.